Australian forests. Complex, mysterious, deadly. The tangled branches and gloomy undergrowth provide perfect hideouts. Shadows in which to lie in wait. Secret lairs from which to launch a lethal ambush. A predator's paradise. These are the case files of Australia's notorious forest killers. Lurking beneath the canopy are predators that conceal weapons, hunt in gangs and lay deadly traps. Even the plant life should be considered armed and dangerous. Topping the list is a killer that is renowned for throttling its victims. The Amethystine python. Meet Australia's biggest snake. It can grow to more than 20 feet long. The Amethystine python, locally known as the Daintree strangler. As much at home on the ground as he is in the trees, this magnificent male has a ravenous appetite. He could devour an adult wallaby. He hunts in the pitch dark of the forest night. But he doesn't need night vision. Heat-sensitive pits in his jaws can detect warm-blooded prey. There's nowhere to hide. As he prowls, his tongue flicks in and out, tasting the air, relaying chemical messages to his brain via a special receptor in the roof of his mouth, known as the Jacobson's organ. He smells a rat. A plump, juicy rat. While remaining perfectly still might save the rat from a predator that's reliant on eyesight, there's no escaping the acute senses of this killer. This snake's bite contains no venom. He doesn't need it. His powerful jaws and long backward-angled teeth grip the rat, while he slides his deadly coils around the prey. Powerful muscles constrict, crushing, suffocating, squeezing the life out of his victim. To swallow something this big needs an unusual approach. His jaws are held in place with elastic tendons, which can stretch wide enough to accommodate amazingly large prey. The rat is swallowed whole, head first, fur and all. A tasty morsel, and enough to keep this Daintree strangler satisfied for several weeks. While the Amethystine python uses brute force to throttle its victims, Other forest assassins use more intoxicating methods to subdue prey. Australian forests harbour creepy crawlies that wield potent chemical weapons and should be approached with caution. These beautiful golden threads, catching the sun glistening in the light, have been built by a spider. The golden orb weaver spider, named after its remarkable gilded web. Attractive in appearance and sinister by design, bees and other insects are attracted to the bright threads, a deadly trap constructed by the spider to lure and ensnare her prey. Measuring 3 feet across, her web is huge. A complex structure created by a master weaver. This is precision engineering, an intricate web of deceit. With a leg span of up to 4 inches, the inward-pointing limbs of the golden orb weaver are specialised for weaving. Strong, flexible and light, the silk she spins is considered a wonder of the natural world. The web is so strong, it can stop large flying insects and even small birds. Now all she has to do is wait. In the dangerous underworld of the forest floor below, a community lives out its own drama. This is a katydid, a relative of grasshoppers. It lives among the leaf litter, feeding on the fallen leaves and seeds that cover the ground. Wherever it feeds, the shadows hide danger. Like this giant centipede. The katydid looks remarkably like a leaf, a clever deception that allows it to blend in with its surroundings. But it can't fool the deadly predator that has it locked in its sights. A nocturnal hunter, the giant centipede measures nearly 10 inches long. Its eyes can only just make out light and shade, but it doesn't rely on vision. With sensitive antennae, it tracks the chemical signals left by potential prey. Centipedes haven't changed much over the millennia. They would have stalked the forest floor around the feet of dinosaurs. They're equipped with fearsome weapons. Strong mandibles for tearing at flesh, claws to hold their victims still, and lethal venom. But the katydid also has sensitive antennae and knows the centipede is closing in. One jump and it escapes. But It's a leap to its death. The golden orb weaver's patience is rewarded. The katydid struggles all it can, but it can't get free of the web. Or the spider's deadly fangs. Orb weaver venom is similar to that of the black widow spider of North America. It quickly paralyzes the katydid. Her meal is packaged and ready for consumption. Below, the centipede is still on the hunt. It's detected another katydid. This one doesn't sense the approaching threat. Moving at nearly 2 feet a second, the centipede's numerous legs give it the advantage of speed, and it quickly descends upon its mark. Now its legs are used to envelop the victim, holding it tightly as modified front legs, known as poison claws, inject lethal venom. Once subdued, the prey is ripped apart with serrated mandibles. Leaving little behind, disappears back into the gloom of the forest floor to digest its meal. While some of Australia's creepier inhabitants wage chemical warfare, other killers of the night use more primitive techniques. They simply tear flesh from bone. When hunting, carnivorous marsupials inflict grievous bodily harm. In the dense forests on the remote island of Tasmania, an attractive marsupial comes out just after dark. He's about 3 feet long and weighs over 7 pounds. But don't be fooled by his innocuous looks. His dainty face hides powerful jaws armed with long, sharp teeth. He's a notorious hunter. A baby-faced killer. He hunts alone, prowling the forest floor for small or medium-sized mammals. Like paddymelon, the smaller relative of the kangaroo. The tiger quoll gorges on the soft tissue only. His jaws aren't strong enough to crunch through bone or tendon. He has to eat quickly. There are thieves in the shadows, ruffians ready to steal his prize. A Tasmanian devil, the larger cousin of the quoll, and a formidable rival. This one can smell the kill. To avoid a fight that he cannot hope to win, the quoll beats a hasty retreat. Luckily, he can do something that his ferocious cousin can't: climb trees. Quite at home amongst the canopy, it doesn't take long for this adept hunter to find another meal. A nest of crested pigeons. Raiding the sleepy family, he snatches one of the babies in the ultimate nightmare. His sharp teeth shear through flesh and small bones, a grisly end for the young bird. While the quolls' appetite is satisfied, on the ground below, the night's carnage has only just begun. Tasmanian devils are the largest and fiercest of the marsupial carnivores alive today. This species used to roam all over the continent, but is now only found in Tasmania. They hunt at night, feeding on small mammals, birds and reptiles. But they'll occasionally take on prey much bigger than themselves. A solitary ambush predator, this male works alone. He spotted a mob of wallabies. An efficient kill. With one of the most powerful mammalian bites on Earth, he can gnaw through every part of the carcass. Fur, flesh, tendons, even bone. A devil can devour 40% of its body weight in half an hour, leaving nothing to waste. But the scent of blood is thick in the air. A scent that other devils can smell from several miles away. The fresh kill attracts a motley crew. Tasmanian devils are one of the few solitary hunters known to feed communally. But this social gathering is not for the faint-hearted. It's everyone for themselves. Although this chaotic feeding frenzy appears to be lacking in table manners, there are rules. Long facial whiskers determine personal space. And when invisible lines are crossed, violent skirmishes break out. Older devils proudly wear the battle scars of conflicts won and lost. Devil dinner time is a decidedly brutish affair. While Tasmanian devils rely on powerful jaws to kill and dismember, other predatory strategies are more intricate. Weaving a tangled web, the redback spider prefers to entrap a victim before draining the life from within. Fine silk lines, almost invisible in the forest gloom. They've been carefully placed so that the slightest touch sets off vibrations. And the assassin is waiting. A female redback spider. Tiny, her body is less than half an inch across. But deadly. Her red stripe is a warning badge. A single misstep sounds the alarm. The redback approaches her prey. Squirting a liquid silk to further entangle her victim. Struggling won't help. The strands just draw tighter and tighter. Now she bites. While a lethal cocktail of toxins incapacitates her prey, digestive enzymes have already started to break down her meal from within, turning it to liquid for the spider to suck up at its leisure. Potentially fatal to humans, the redback is considered one of the most dangerous spiders on Earth. Her offspring are no less ruthless. The female has laid her eggs in a sack. Once they hatch, the spiderlings are allowed to share their mother's web for a few days. But there are too many of them. There's only one way to fix that. These newborns are cannibals. They start to eat each other, as well as any unhatched eggs. Only the strongest will survive. In a few days, they'll disperse to build their own deadly traps. The redback spider clearly advertises its deadly nature with a bold red stripe. Sporting the same warning colours is another silent assassin. The red-bellied black snake wields chemical weapons of its own. The rivers and streams that nurture Australia's lush forests also harbour some rather nefarious characters. Slithering along a rocky creek bed is one of Australia's most notorious venomous snakes. This male red-bellied black snake is on the prowl. Equally at home in the water as he is on land, he rarely strays far from the watercourse to which he is so well adapted. With a predilection for aquatic species, he can track prey along the riverbank. And will even swim below the water's surface in pursuit of tadpoles and fish. And today, this silent assassin will need to ply all the tricks of his deadly trade. His keen eyesight and hearing have detected a moving target. A spotted marsh frog. This nimble amphibian is no easy meal. The fast-moving frog darts from one hiding hole to the next. But it leaves behind a chemical trail, which is quickly detected by the red belly's probing tongue. The snake stealthily pursues his mark in a deadly game of cat and mouse. Until there's nowhere left to hide. A deadly concoction of toxins and anticoagulants delivered by long, sharp fangs swiftly overwhelms the prey, which he devours whole, paralysed but still alive. Savouring his meal, this covert killer slinks back off into the shadows. Australian forests are full of peril, and it's not just the animals that are built to sting, maim and kill. Here, even the plant life is getting in on the action. While the noxious Gympie plant wields chemical weapons, carnivorous plants, like the sinister sundew, lure unsuspecting victims to their deaths. Home to a wealth of predators, these ancient forests can be dark and treacherous. But sometimes it's the forest itself that poses the greatest threat. Australian plants must be treated with a healthy respect. The Gympie stinging tree looks like an ordinary plant, but its leaves hold a deadly secret. It's one of the world's most toxic plants. Fine hairs on the leaves and stem contain potent venom. Passers-by can be envenomed by simply brushing against its foliage. Once lodged in the skin, these fine hairs release neurotoxins that cause excruciating and long-lasting pain. So brutal is the effect that it has been known to cause fatalities amongst dogs and even horses. These soft woody shrubs can grow up to 15 feet tall. Resident pariahs that are best avoided. But strangely, some creatures can withstand the toxic hairs and use the tree as shelter from predators. Mantis nestle amongst its leaves. Spiders string their webs from its stems. They don't seem at all bothered by the tree's venom. This caterpillar can even eat the leaves, oblivious to the horrific fate of other creatures that even touch the tree. It's the caterpillar of the Jezebel butterfly. It's managed to breach this tree's impenetrable defence against the plant eaters of the forest by evolving immunity to the toxins. For every deadly weapon evolved, there's always someone who can find a defence against it. One plant has developed a more proactive strategy. Rather than keeping animals away, it draws them close. This is the sundew. The clear droplets on the end of its tentacles catch the light, giving the plant a glittering beauty and its name. Yet these exquisite diamonds hold a sinister secret. They're designed to entrap the plant's food. Most plants get all the nutrients they need from the soil. But in areas of poor soil, they can't get enough crucial nitrogen, so they must look elsewhere. These clear droplets look and smell alluringly like sweet nectar, irresistible to insects. As the ant tries to feed on the rich nectar, it doesn't realise that this is a scam. There is no nectar, just a very, very sticky mucus from which there is no escape. Struggling only makes it worse. Exhaustion will bring about a drawn-out death. To extract the valuable nutrients from its victim, the sundew excretes digestive enzymes, slowly dissolving the ant so that the precious nitrogen can be absorbed through the leaves. Some of these plants can grow to over 3 feet high and live for 50 years or more, getting everything they need from the corpses of unfortunate prey. Australia's deadly plants come in all guises. The gympie has fine hairs laced in venom. The sundew lures and ensnares, and adding fuel to the fire, Australia's most famous tree coats itself in poison. As diverse as Australia's forests are, they are dominated by one particular family of trees, the eucalypts. Also known as gum trees, these ubiquitous icons are killers in their own right. Eucalyptus leaves are covered in glands that produce oil, giving them a waxy texture. These oils are toxic, even to humans, and most of Australia's native animals leave them well alone. Except koalas. They're not just immune to the toxic leaves, they thrive on them. Although the eucalyptus leaves are low in protein and high in toxins, the koala's specially adapted stomach extracts all the nutrition it needs, which isn't much. To conserve what precious energy they do get, they just sleep, sometimes for 22 hours a day. For koalas, the eucalypt is the giver of life. But these trees can also bring death. It's not the toxicity of the eucalyptus oil that is most dangerous. It's the oil itself. It burns. Bushfires frequently ravage Australian forests. Gum trees are known as gasoline trees. Their highly flammable oils fuel the inferno, burning at temperatures higher than 1800 degrees Fahrenheit, hotter than the burning point of jet fuel. Firestorms incinerate the native animals that can't escape. What was once a refuge has become a crematorium. But while the flames consume the forest, the gum trees have evolved to depend on the blaze. The passing flames open their seed capsules. In the burnt, rich, ash-laden soil, the seeds establish themselves and grow quickly, affording them a strong competitive advantage over other plants. The forest that burns belongs to the eucalypts. A force of nature. Bushfires devour everything in their path. But in Australia's tropical north, there are other destructive forces at play. Tiny toxic terrors wreak havoc amongst the branches. For green tree ants, the forest canopy is a gangster's paradise. Green tree ants live in a rigid, structured society with one queen and up to 500,000 workers. Everyone works for the good of the colony. Even the larvae do their part, generating silk for the building work. They're also known as weaver ants. The colony constructs a multitude of nests throughout the canopy. These multi-chambered structures are built by the smaller, minor workers, who weave them from leaves and larval silk. In an incredible display of teamwork, communicating by touch and pheromones, these workers even build body bridges and ladders to bridge gaps. All these workers need to be fed, so larger major workers go out to hunt. Marauding gangs scour the forest canopy, and in such numbers they can take on prey much larger than themselves. Cicadas, beetles, and other victims are quickly laid to waste. This deadly, organised gang pillages the surrounding area. Very little stands in their way. These major workers are also the soldiers, fierce sentinels, defenders of the colony. The presence of another ant species on their patch is not tolerated. Armed to the teeth, trapjaw ants are big, carnivorous ants with extraordinarily strong jaws. These formidable predators wield a bite force of over 300 times their own body weight. But this small troop of foraging trapjaws is no match for the green ant army. Encroaching on rival turf, they're outnumbered and outgunned. The green tree ants unleash an arsenal of chemical weapons. They pepper the trapjaws with formic acid fired from abdominal glands. The invaders are quickly overwhelmed. While green tree ants ravage the forest canopy, the forest floor below is no less of a battleground. Amidst the host of thieves and assassins roams an ancient warrior, the rainforest scorpion. Over 400 million years ago, this primeval creature emerged from the oceans. A predator that still prowls the forests today. Australia's rainforest scorpion is a war machine. Protected by a tough exoskeleton armour, armed with huge, powerful pincers, and carrying a venomous sting on his tail. He can defend himself and he can hunt. His flattened shape allows him to squeeze into rock crevices or hide under logs, from where he watches over his territory. When another male invades his turf, he's having none of it. He leaves his rival in no doubt that he's not welcome. He comes out at night to hunt under the light of the moon. An arachnid related to spiders, he has numerous pairs of eyes. And even in low light, he can detect light and dark shapes. But he can also feel his way through the undergrowth. Fine sensory hairs detect the faintest movement in the air. And special organs, called pectines, on the underside of his body decipher textures and scents on the ground. He hunts spiders, centipedes, and crickets. He uses his formidable pincers to overcome smaller prey with brute strength. His venom is valuable and is reserved for larger prey or self-defense. The serrated inner edges of his pincers tear the victim into bite-sized chunks, while alien-like mouthparts secrete digestive enzymes to break down his meal. He's secured his catch without the need to spill any precious venom. His chemical weapons cache remains full. He's locked and loaded. If he's attacked, he won't go quietly. While some forest assassins diligently conserve precious venom, others wield it with reckless abandon. Lethal toxins literally drip from the fangs of Australia's largest spider, instilling fear in the hearts of all who live here. The Australian tarantula. Deep within Australia's steamy highland rainforests, hidden terrors lie in wait. A few days of torrential downpour have disturbed the forest floor. And from dark places, dark things emerge. The tarantula, or bird-eating spider, is Australia's largest spider. It can grow to the size of a man's hand. Measuring nearly half an inch long, its fangs are longer than those of a brown snake, delivering venom that's lethal to frogs, toads, and small mammals. Foraging amongst the leaf litter, a brown bandicoot wanders perilously close to the spider's lair. end has caught its attention. But the bandicoot has little to fear. It's immune to the spider's deadly bite. A predator itself, the bandicoot now eyes the spider with hungry eyes. In response, the tarantula issues a warning. Its impressive threat display is enough to ward off the predator. With the threat gone, the spider retreats into its lair. Tarantula burrows can extend 3 feet below the surface. Radiating out from the entrance is an intricate network of strong and durable strands. Trip lines that alert the spider to the presence of passing prey. The tarantula waits patiently for impromptu dinner guests to announce their arrival, unaware that they are on the menu. A single misstep seals the bush cricket's fate. The hulking spider drags its victim back into its lair so that the feast may begin. Life in the undergrowth is perilous. To survive here, forest inhabitants have developed a raft of unscrupulous predatory strategies. While invertebrates wage chemical warfare and carnivorous marsupials tear flesh from bone, even the trees sting and burn. So, the next time you enter an Australian forest, remember you should tread carefully, because lurking within every shadow and behind every tree are a host of deadly Australians. From tangled mangroves and raging rivers to dark waterholes and vast floodplains, Australia's waterways are complex, competitive, deadly. The riverbeds are battlefields where the vicious thrive. The marshy grasses are alleyways from where the cunning strike. A web of organised crime winds through Australia's deadly wetlands. These are the case files of Australia's most notorious wetland killers, assassins, stalkers, and con artists. Where there's water, there are animals wielding biological weapons, each displaying cunning methods to capture and devour prey. Leading the lineup, the heaviest hitter of them all, the saltwater crocodile. River mouths are the gateway to Australia's wetlands. The brackish water of the mangroves, fringing much of the continent's coast, hosts an abundance of dangerous wildlife. But nothing is more formidable than the saltwater crocodile. Known to friend and foe as the Salty. The world's largest living reptile, The salty can grow to 23 feet and weigh beyond a ton. They are the undisputed rulers of northern Australia's coasts. They have the muscle and the weapons. Their mouths are crammed with up to 60 lethal blades, designed for killing rather than chewing. Almost anything straying across their path is in danger of being eaten. Getting too close to a salty only happens once. To function with ruthless efficiency, these killing machines must run at the correct heat. Saltwater crocs work to maintain a constant body temperature of around 89 degrees Fahrenheit. But they must prevent their brains from overheating. Their gaping mouths enabling evaporative cooling. Although the crocodilian brain is small, salties are capable of learning, observing the habits and feeding patterns of those they stalk. Study begins at a young age. Juvenile crocs are known to target a peculiar fish that can walk on dry land, the mudskipper. Mudskippers crawl from the water at low tide, escaping the dangerous world below the surface. Before emerging, they enlarge their gill chambers, filling them with water. The chambers seal tightly to keep the gills moist, allowing the fish to breathe on land. But escaping the water doesn't free them from all its dangers. Juvenile crocodiles hone their hunting technique by stalking mudskippers. It's perfect training before they graduate to much larger prey. It's mid-morning. Having warmed up, the boss croc and a member of his harem head out separately to hunt. Fast swimmers over short distances, salties can reach 18 miles an hour. They move upriver, each in search of a different meal. Water buffalo wander across the wetlands. Introduced from Western Asia, they now run wild. They graze on aquatic grasses and other wetland plants. The males can weigh up to 1 ton, eating up to 66 pounds of vegetation every day. As the heat slowly rises, the buffalo move to the water to drink and cool down. The female croc sees them. She stays hidden, waiting for her moment. Crocodiles haven't changed much since the time of the dinosaurs. They're designed to ambush. Only her eyes, ears and nostrils are exposed above the waterline. But moving in for the kill, she disappears completely. Muscles constrict her nostrils and her throat is closed off with a flap of skin, preventing water from entering her lungs when she opens her mouth. She targets one of the smaller buffalo that has wandered in too deep. The notorious death roll finishes the job. Meanwhile, the male has come across another thirsty local. A wallaby, desperate for a midday drink. The reptile's approach is silent. The wallaby wanders into the boss croc's kill zone. The beast hurtles from the water at 12 miles per hour. He can't move his jaw from side to side and chew like a human. The only way to break up his kill is to shake the carcass to shreds. The crocs each return to their home among the mangroves to digest their meals. While the saltwater crocodile relies on brute strength to capture its prey, another more diminutive hunter has evolved a highly skilled approach. The archerfish. Omnivorous, opportunistic, and an expert marksman. It will consume anything floating in the water, but has developed an extraordinary skill for hunting prey far beyond their aquatic domain. A master of physics, the archerfish can make lightning-quick calculations to perfect its aim and dislodge prey. A garden orb weaver spider has selected a branch to form the foundation of its web. Little does it know, the new property is well within the fish's accurate 6-foot range. When eyeing its quarry, the archer must compensate for refraction, the bending of light as it passes from air to water. Viewed from below, the target isn't exactly where it seems. Despite the accurate shot, the spider manages to maintain its grip on the branch. Compressing its tongue against a groove in its mouth, the fish creates a tube to funnel the water. A special cover over the gills rapidly snaps shut, forcing the water through the tube. Once again, the spider clings on. This archer must also account for the curved trajectory of the water jet. Letting gravity bend the shot toward the target. Success. While the archerfish employs precision ballistics to dislodge its quarry, the peculiar platypus homes in on the electrical signals of its prey. The estuaries are fed by a network of streams. As the water shifts from salty to fresh, new habitats support distinct interactions between hunters and the hunted. Moving upstream, one finds a true wetland oddity. Shy and elusive. The platypus. The platypus builds his burrow just above the waterline. When the coast is clear, he escapes his den for a day of foraging. Underwater obstacles are no challenge for this dexterous diver. Even though he's well suited to aquatic environments, he's a mammal and needs to come up for air every 30 seconds or so. Underwater, he closes his eyes and seals his nose, yet is still a highly effective hunter. His bill is covered with about 40,000 electroreceptors that detect the faint electrical signals emitted by prey. He combs the riverbed with his bill, searching for any pulse. The first meal for the day, a tasty worm. Nourishing, but far from enough. He needs to eat about 20% of his own weight every day. He'll store extra fat in his tail, up to half his entire body's weight, providing power for extra bursts of energy. Faint electrical pulses belie the presence of a crayfish. The crayfish tries to escape, but the platypus follows his electrical signal. One crayfish down, but it isn't enough. A platypus spends around 12 hours a day searching for food. But this feast is about to be rudely interrupted. It's mating season, and another male has swum into his territory. He'll need to vanquish the potential rival. When it comes to combat, the males are well equipped for a knife fight. They both carry concealed weapons, a venomous spur behind each hind foot. The tussle ends quickly. The challenger escapes the fight, swimming downstream in search of another mating ground. The victor can resume gorging on crayfish. By sunset, the platypus has had his fill. A day of foraging and fending off a rival has earned him a well-deserved rest. Elsewhere, below the surface of a slow-moving stream, lies another battlefield. This hardened bully feeds on the dead and the dying. Few species would challenge the freshwater crab. Its armour protects soft tissue, and even its eyes can be retracted when threatened. Its claws are weapons for attack. However, the crab shares the river with an unlikely rival. A leech. A tiger leech. No armour, no obvious weapons, yet this leech is deadly. At just 2 inches long, it lives up to its name. The leech is stealthy, seeking out the chemical trails of potential prey. The crab sees movement amongst the detritus, a would-be victim. The leech seems wary and keeps its distance from the well-armed aggressor. It watches and waits as other leeches gather nearby. The crab moves in to attack. But a second leech arrives, seeking the crab's juicy insides. The crab decides that attack is the best form of defense. Its claws could do serious damage to a leech's soft body. But the leeches are slippery customers, covered in mucus. The leeches pause their attack. Only for a moment. This leech is hungry. It maneuvers behind the deadly claws and tries to latch on. The crab attempts to shake off its attacker. A master at breaking and entering, the leech has found a chink in the crab's armour. Once it strikes soft tissue, it tears into the flesh, injecting an anticoagulant. The leech begins to suck out the crab's vital fluids. The crab's struggle is futile. Its life is literally being sucked away. The leech will gorge itself, consuming up to 5 times its original body weight. All that remains of the crab is its armour and the weapons that proved useless against the aquatic vampire. The leech won't need to feed again for months, even a year. Whilst micro-monsters battle it out in the streams, larger predators rule over the isolated waterholes. This next wetland hunter will pursue prey over any obstacle. Australia's deadly wetlands shift with the cycle of the seasons. The creeks and rivers often change course, leaving behind isolated bodies of water. These waterholes are centerpieces to a mosaic of terrains that require multiple talents to traverse. Amongst the thick grasses that surround the waters, a serpent assassin seeks its next meal. Those brown stripes and its highly aggressive nature have earned it the name tiger. Instead of claws, it wields fangs. One of Australia's deadliest snakes, tigers are responsible for the second highest number of bites to humans. When untreated, half of all tiger snake bites result in death. Equally adept at hunting in water as on dry land, it swims with ease and can stay submerged for at least 9 minutes, stalking fish and amphibians. Tigers have been known to climb 29 feet from the ground to claim bird prey. Today, the snake has been spotted. The honeyeater sounds the alarm, alerting others to the threat. A missed opportunity. The snake will need to seek a meal elsewhere. The brown rat is an introduced rodent, abundant in these grasses. Tiger snakes play an important role, preventing their population from blooming beyond control. The tiger snake's fangs are hollow. It injects a complex cocktail of toxins, one of the most potent of all known snakes. Some components in the venom attack the rat's nervous system, paralysing it. Other ingredients target the rat's blood, causing internal hemorrhaging. Having consumed its prey whole, the tiger snake seeks out a quiet place to digest its feast. The tiger snake isn't the only reptile to conquer the diverse terrain around the waterholes. On the fringe of a billabong in Australia's north, another solar-powered stalker soaks up energy for the day. Never far from a source of fresh water, a Merton's water monitor will eat almost any suitably sized animal that crosses its path. With strong legs, it navigates the rocks. Its long claws and powerful tail fend off rivals during ritual combat in the breeding season. It hunts both on the land and in the water. The tail is both propeller and rudder. The water monitor detects the odour trails of potential prey using his tongue, a trait he shares with the tiger snake. The appendage is split in two, each tip flickering separately, maximising the amount of air the monitor can sample, but also providing directional guidance. The scent particles are transferred from the tongue to a chemoreceptive organ located in the roof of the mouth. The monitor has big teeth for ripping apart larger prey, but smaller meals are devoured whole. Merton's monitor absorbs the last of the sun while it digests, surveying the landscape it has so easily conquered. While venom and claws might rule the waterholes, other wetland invaders secrete toxins from their skin or strike from the sky. This floodplain fighter simply squeezes the life from its victims. Hundreds of large rivers snake their way across Australia's coastal plains as they flow to the sea. Tropical monsoons drown the land, transforming these plains into a vast expanse of shallow wetlands. A nocturnal water python patrols the soggy land surrounding the river's edge. The python can go for 2 years without feeding, shrinking its gut to reduce the amount of energy it needs to survive. It's been a long time between meals. The python's appetite needs to be satiated, and there's a perfect target scurrying about. A ricali, a native water rat and wetland forager. Like the python, it prefers nighttime ventures. It will scoop up crustaceans and pounce on the opportunity of an easy mussel. It then slinks back to a regular feeding site to consume the meal. The water python stalks its prey. The snake's mouth is surrounded by scales that can pick up the heat signatures emitted by warm-blooded victims. In Australia, only constrictors, like the python, possess this sense. It receives a faint signal from the ricali and closes in. There's no escaping the python's suffocating grasp. Its coiling body forces the water rat's blood pressure to soar. The rodent's heart fails to pump blood to its vital organs. The python squeezes until the ricali is dead. The snake should be wary when consuming its prize. These wetlands are full of thieves. The python's lower jawbones aren't fused together at the front. Instead, they're held together by an elastic ligament, which allows for an exceptionally wide gape. Teeth in the lower jaw then rake the food back into the throat before waves of contracting body muscles push the food down. The snake's gut quickly kicks back into action, producing powerful enzymes and gastric juices that slowly digest the ricali. The water python slithers from the scene of the crime, in search of somewhere to digest in safety, far from its own floodplain predators, both in the water and in the air. The floodplains are home to a multitude of bird life. However, the water birds must remain vigilant. Predators stalk these skies. The white-bellied sea eagle is a versatile bird of prey, feeding on almost anything, from snakes and small mammals to other bird life. However, the eagle's diet is mainly aquatic. The white-bellied sea eagle glides with its wings stretched out, letting the thermal currents do the hard work. It spies a body of water, an excellent source for a fresh fish meal. The sea eagle searches for the perfect vantage point and launch pad. The bird factors in height and its relation to the sun's position in the sky. Perched, it studies the water below. It has keen vision, with eyes nearly 1.5 times larger than birds of a similar weight, enabling it to distinguish objects extremely far away. The sea eagle circles directly towards the sun, minimising the chance that its shadow might give it away. A clean snatch and grab from a master aerial predator. But the sea eagle must select its meals with care. Not all marsh-dwelling prey is safe to consume. The creatures of the floodplains are under attack by a nasty intruder. The cane toad was introduced to Australia in the 1930s to control pests feeding on sugarcane. Unfortunately, the toads preferred to consume the native wildlife. Cane toads leave a bad taste in the mouths of would-be predators. So, they've been left to run rampant. This male is a gluttonous brute. If he can swallow it, he'll eat it. He hunts without grace or subtlety. Inside his mouth, glands coat the tongue in sticky fluid. The tongue flick lasts only 10 milliseconds. By depressing his eyeballs into his mouth palate, he forces the meal down. In these dangerous waters, most creatures as small as the toad keep a low profile. This brute, however, enjoys his meal out in the open. Because this toad is full of more than just swagger. His defence oozes from his skin. Glands behind his eyes secrete a deadly hallucinogenic toxin. Unwary attackers suffer a long, drawn-out death. Cane toads can live up to 15 years. And while adults tend to be thuggish loners, younger generations knock about in gangs. They swarm over the marshes, devouring anything in their path. While native creatures tend to give these toxic pests a wide berth, the young toads do have one wetland enemy. The keelback snake. Endemic to Australia, these snakes hunt toads, albeit with middling success. Keelback snakes carry a genetic tolerance to cane toad toxin, at least in small doses. This trait is inherited from ancestral keelbacks that evolved among toads in Asia. The smaller the toad, the fewer toxins it produces. But something's amiss. The toad is too big and the poison too strong. If the keelback had devoured the toad, it would have followed a multitude of native predators to an early grave. While the keelback might not always come out on top against the cane toad, there are others that do. Ants are among the few native species unaffected by the toad's toxins. These minute warriors wage war in armies. With strength in numbers, sharp mandibles, and caustic fluid fired from their abdomens, they have overcome a toad. The toad's natural defence of standing still and letting his poison deter attackers only makes their task easier. Within a few days, there will be nothing left but bones. A fitting end to an invader that doesn't belong in any of Australia's wetlands. The cane toad may be overcome by the smallest of warriors, but upstream, larger killers wait for the perfect moment to strike, while others utilise cunning to ensnare their prey. The sprawling floodplains of northern Australia's coast are fed by rivers and streams that flow down from the inland hills. These tranquil waters are filled with their own sketchy characters. An arachnid con artist stalks the foliage surrounding the waters, searching for a meal. The Portia spider may only be half an inch long, but what she lacks in size, she makes up for in pure cunning. The Portia's preferred prey? Other spiders. The larger St Andrew's cross spider builds a web that reflects ultraviolet light, attracting flying insects. But today, the web has caught the attention of the Portia spider. An intelligent stalker, the Portia analyses the vegetation surrounding her victim's web. She determines the best vantage point from which to attack. The Portia spider's mottled appearance mimics the forest detritus. The spider enhances the effect by imitating a leaf caught in the breeze. If the Portia is sighted, she will simply blend into her surroundings. The clever Portia spider plucks at the strands of the St Andrew's web, imitating the struggling vibrations of insect prey. The St Andrew's cross spider moves in to investigate. With her quarry lured right where she wants it, the Portia returns to her vantage point, the optimal position from which to attack. She can calculate distances with extreme accuracy. The Portia spider injects her lethal venom and digestive enzymes, drinking the insides of her victim, leaving only the husk of its exoskeleton. It's an impressive display of cunning and deceit that enables this con artist to overcome a meal twice its size. Below the scene of the Portia's crime, the placid waters host another forest hunter. The freshwater crocodile. This smaller, slender cousin of the salty might not look dangerous. Unmoving, silent, but don't be fooled. This croc has speed and power. But patience is its true virtue. It favours the sit and wait method of hunting. It allows its prey to come within range, moving with speed only when required. The freshwater crocodile will eat just about anything it can find in the shallow waters of inland streams. With a perfect hydrodynamic design, it propels itself through the water with a muscular tail, making up half its body length. But like all reptiles, freshwater crocodiles are ectotherms, gathering heat from their surroundings. In the morning, the smaller turtles gather energy faster. A missed opportunity. But this crocodile isn't too fussed. It knows that in this wetland there will soon be other prey arriving from above. Fruit bats, otherwise known as flying foxes. These shady dealers prefer to do most of their business at night. They hide from the sun throughout the day. Flying foxes live together, huddled in large colonies. As the sun climbs higher in the sky, they compete for shade. They're all at risk from the same danger: dehydration. They need water. When evening comes, the bats prepare to leave the roost. Before they can eat, they must drink. They collect water by swooping low onto the surface, drenching their fur, so they can lick off the moisture when they return to the roost. Lurking below, a crocodile waits. After a full day in the sun, it's charged up and hungry. The crocodilian metabolism may lack stamina, but it still powers explosive bursts of speed. Just missed. This bat knows the croc is on the hunt, but desperate with thirst, it takes the risk. It doesn't take long before other freshies join the feast. As the darkness descends, the surviving fruit bats head out across the forests. Searching for fruit up to 30 miles from the roost, they will carry seeds far from the parent trees. Flying foxes play a crucial role in distributing fruit trees across the forest and maintaining the habitats of deadly Australians below. These waterways are the lifeblood of Australia. From the highland streams to lowland floodplains, isolated waterholes and brackish estuaries. Each environment sets the stage for complex interactions between predators and their prey. Whether it's a high-speed chase and a venomous bite, or an assassin's ballistic skills, each adaptation is honed to provide a predatory edge within a particular niche. From the forests to the sea, Australia's wetlands are truly deadly. The Australian desert, a dry and desolate wasteland, hell on earth. In these parts, only the toughest survive. Heat and dehydration kill indiscriminately. And the wildlife is armed and dangerous. Out here, it's everyone for themselves. These are the case files of Australia's notorious desert killers. In this lineup of unusual suspects, the agenda is kill or be killed. While some offenders plead self-defence, others are guilty as charged. Notorious fiends that cheat, swindle and kill for a living. The Australian desert is a realm of cold-blooded killers. There are more reptiles in the Australian desert than anywhere else on Earth. Lizards and snakes have been vying for supremacy here for eons. A biological arms race that has given rise to a weapon of terrifying efficiency: venom. This barren landscape is home to some of the world's deadliest snakes. But there can only be one king. The Mulga snake, otherwise known as the king brown. Measuring nearly 10 feet long, this large male is on the hunt. Out here, prey is scarce, so he does what he must to survive. Lording over his close relatives, Australia's largest venomous snake has developed a taste for reptilian flesh. He uses inside knowledge of his victims to gain an edge, such as knowing that reptiles need to bask in the sun to warm up. The Mulga's flickering tongue has picked up a scent trail. He's locked onto a target and is relentless in his pursuit. Maintaining his focus, he's not distracted by the presence of nearby lizards. He's tracking a much more substantial meal. This is a western brown snake, one of the world's top 10 venomous snakes, and usually treated with healthy respect by most predators. But in addition to his own chemical weapons, the Mulga also possesses chemical defences. Within his biological arsenal, he carries a genetic resistance to snake venom. A bite from even the deadliest of snakes has little effect. So the western brown poses no threat. Sensing the peril, it attempts to flee. In desperation, it tries to conceal itself within a nearby hole, but the Mulga uses his size and strength to block the only exit to what now becomes a tomb. To ensure a quick and efficient kill, the venom output of the Mulga is higher than any other snake on Earth. As he devours his 5-foot-long meal, Each chewing action delivers yet another dose of deadly toxins. A killer of killers. The Mulga snake is a snake's worst nightmare. The Mulga may lord over even the deadliest of snakes within this barren realm. But the king brown is not the only monarch in these parts. An ancient reptilian rival stalks the desert plains, drooling over its victims before moving in for the kill. Meet Australia's largest and toughest lizard. Weighing in at around 33 pounds and measuring over 9 feet long, the Parenti is the lizard king. A formidable apex predator that few animals dare to tangle with. This large male is a notorious desert stalker. And he's hungry. He's using his highly tuned senses to forage in the grass. His eyes are shaded from the sun and sensitive to the slightest of movements. Licking the air with his tongue, he tastes the faint chemical trace of prey. Nothing much escapes his attention. Most of the time, he makes do with small rodents. Out here in Australia's barren interior, potential meals are few and far between. So he's not above scavenging. But such a big, active hunter sometimes needs a more substantial meal. A Parenti of his size will actively hunt wombats and even lone dingoes. Most reptiles wouldn't even dream of taking on a red kangaroo. But the Parenti isn't most reptiles. He can do something other lizards can't. Parentis can run and breathe at the same time. He has a large breathing tube and strong neck muscles that act like bellows to keep him well oxygenated, even at high speed. The Parenti is one of the fastest of all reptiles. He can maintain speeds of around 25 miles an hour for more than half a mile, making him a very efficient endurance hunter. Even so, a kangaroo is no easy target. His best chance is to launch a surprise attack. He focuses on the weakest and most vulnerable within the mob. This predator's festering mouth oozes more than drool. It's recently been discovered that the bite of the Parenti is venomous. Anticoagulants contained within the venom induce a collapse in blood pressure, and dizziness soon subdues the victim. Selecting an unwary target, his approach is silent. But the desert community is always alert to stalkers. The chase is on, a contest of speed and agility. On the open plain, the kangaroo would be much faster. But while navigating the low desert scrub, it struggles to reach top speed. But ultimately, the Parenti is outclassed. There's little shame in being outrun by this iconic Australian sprinter. But the Parenti turns his attention to a very different challenge. He's crossed paths with the recently fed Mulga snake. As one of the most venomous snakes on the planet, the Mulga is a real threat to most reptiles. But the Parenti stands his ground. The snake poses little threat to him. He's too big. And thanks to eons of coevolution, Parentis have also developed a resistance to snake venom. So it's the Mulga snake that finds itself in peril. And the Parenti doesn't hesitate. It's a sizable meal that will provide this unscrupulous predator with enough energy to stalk his next victim. While some stalk, others cheat. Why waste valuable energy in chasing prey when gullible victims can be lured to their deaths? The desert is full of swindlers, but none is more crafty than the sly and ruthless death adder. His name says it all. Like the Mulga, the death adder is among the world's deadliest snakes. But rather than pursue his meals at top speed across the desert as the Parenti does, he sits and hides and waits for his meals to come to him. The soft desert colours of the death adder's 2-foot-long body blend in perfectly with his arid surroundings. Lying motionless, his disconcerting eyes scan the horizon for potential victims. This wandering skink has no idea he's there. When it comes to launching his lethal attack, surprise is everything. For a successful kill, he needs to entice the skink to within optimum striking distance. Ever the swindler, this crafty desert con artist unveils a secret weapon. Slightly flattened and darker in colour, the tip of his tail seems to have a life of its own. When the snake twitches it, it looks just like a tasty, wriggling grub. This cunning optical illusion creates an irresistible honey trap for a hungry skink. But the curious skink remains just out of range. So cold and calculating, the death adder slowly moves the lure closer to his head. His trap is now set. Mesmerized, the skink succumbs to temptation. It's the fastest strike of all Australian snakes. A lethal dose of fast-acting neurotoxins delivers a swift end, leaving this clinical desert con artist to quietly devour his home-delivered meal. The death adder is not the only master of disguise in the Australian desert. It's been said that the greatest trick that the devil ever performed was to convince others that he doesn't exist. The Thorny devil is a prickly customer with a knack for blending in. Prowling the arid wasteland is a terror of the outback. A serial killer that lays waste to countless prey at every meal. This beast is the stuff of nightmares. At least that's how the ants of the outback perceive the Thorny devil, otherwise known as Moloch horridus. Meet a true desert monster. He looms over the ants upon which he gorges. Yet he's only a modest 4 inches from head to tail. Rather than use up energy in the desert heat chasing after prey, he strategically positions himself along ant trails, letting his meal come to him. He devours thousands of ants in a single sitting, and as ants are present all year round, he doesn't go hungry. But he's not the only predator here. The desert is full of hunters much larger than him. To avoid predation, he must avoid detection. He blends in with his surroundings. A devilish trickster and master of disguise. With all the swagger of a punk rocker, he sways as he walks, mimicking the movement of wind-swept leaves, which helps to conceal his presence from aerial assailants. But sometimes the deceit of the devil lets him down. He has to defend himself. For this, he wears impressive spiky armour. He also has a fatty growth on the back of his neck that looks like his head, just enough to fool a predator and shield his real head. A cunning deception designed to buy him time. Eventually, even the most dogged of predators would surely realise that this meal presents more pain than gain. Deceit and deception, smoke and mirrors. Sometimes it's the things we can't see that frighten us the most. Under the dim light of a full moon, giant huntsman spiders prowl in the dark. And hungry ghost bats watch on from the shadows. There's very little shelter in the desert, so a cave is a precious sanctuary. It's a tempting refuge for some of the desert's creatures, but a hunting ground for others. A den of iniquity. One of the more terrifying residents, the cave huntsman spider. This spider is huge. It has a leg span of 6 inches. It doesn't build a web. It chases down prey. Insects, lizards, frogs, and even sometimes small mammals. It's one of the fastest spiders in the world. Without a web to detect prey, the hairs on its legs pick up vibrations in the air, and sharp vision helps to pinpoint a victim. A dunnart. These rodent-sized nocturnal marsupials have yet to leave their daytime retreat. The spider singles out a target. But the setting sun has stirred other terrors within the cave. Ghost bats awaken with murderous appetites. And they've also noticed the tasty morsels scampering across the cave floor. Also known as the false vampire bat, the ghost bat is named for its pale colour and thin wing membranes. A ghost in the night. It's the largest echolocating bat in Australia, with sharp teeth to rip and tear the flesh off its victims, which include birds, rodents, and other bats. Its big ears provide long-range hearing to find prey. Roosting in the roof of the cave, it quickly devours the dunnart, leaving little but fur and bones. In the desert, nothing goes to waste. Cheated out of a potential meal, the spider won't go hungry for long. It's identified another victim. Quickly subdued by the spider's venom, the unfortunate cricket is eaten alive. In these parts, hiding in the shadows is no safe bet. One way to deter unwanted attention is to just be disgusting. One repugnant reptile keeps predators at bay by smelling worse than death. The spiny-tailed gecko. Once it gets dark, a hunter of the night is ready to emerge from the branches. She's spent all day basking in the safety of the treetops. She only comes down to the ground to hunt. Spiny-tailed geckos can see perfectly well in the dark. Nocturnal geckos are unusual. They're one of the few creatures that can see colour at night. She can do this because she has special cells in her eyes, cones that respond to different wavelengths of light and are more than 350 times more sensitive than human colour vision. This sensitive colour vision is just right for hunting in the dark. But there are others who can also see at night. This 25-inch long creature might look like a snake, but it's actually a Burton's legless lizard. It's a predator. Its eyesight is good, but when hunting, it only reacts to movement. As long as the gecko keeps perfectly still, she won't be noticed. The gecko returns to the hunt. This giant centipede would be an ideal meal. But there's a problem. She's been seen by another predator. This time, it is a snake, a highly venomous one, the ringed brown snake. This snake doesn't rely as much on vision as scent, tasted by its flickering tongue. Keeping stock still won't save the gecko now, but her night vision is so sensitive that she can tell the difference between the snake and the legless lizard, even in the dark. So she employs another defense. She secretes a foul-smelling liquid from glands in her tail. The pungent odour completely overwhelms the snake's sense of smell. A powerful deterrent. Once the threat is gone, she settles for a quick beetle snack before retreating to the safety of her tree. While the spiny-tailed gecko finds refuge in the treetops, for others, the canopy harbours unseen dangers. With nocturnal predators lurking, crimes of passion play out amongst the branches. Under a full moon, the silence of the cool desert night is broken by the sounds of serenading insects looking for a mate. But not all of these insect songs are designed to find a partner. Some have a more sinister tone. A spotted predatory katydid. Also known as bush crickets, some katydids are happy munching on leaves, but not this one. It looks like an alien from a sci-fi movie. It's covered in sharp spines and armed with equally sharp jaws. And it has long antennae that can sense the slightest movement in the dark. Every bit an alien predator. Its victims are cicadas. After dark, male cicadas call to females, who respond with a chirp, so the male can find its mate. Each species of cicada has its own song and answering call. The spotted predatory katydid has cracked the cicada code. It can mimic those enticing female chirps with a flick of its long wings and pulsating body. What's remarkable is that this complex deception seems to be hardwired into the katydid's DNA. Since it can mimic the songs of cicadas it's never heard before. This one's detected a likely victim. It answers the male cicada's mating call. A siren song that male cicadas find irresistible. But in these forests, answering the call of love can prove to be a fatal attraction. Drawn by instinct, the unwary victim walks towards mortal danger. Once it's close enough, the katydid uses its powerful back legs to pounce. Once ensnared, a killer bite is delivered to the throat. It's all over. An appetizing midnight snack. It's said that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But sometimes, no matter how good the example set by parents, the kids are naturally prone to antisocial behaviour. The young antlion is a natural-born killer. Among the monsters haunting the desert night, a juvenile delinquent terrorises the microcosmic underworld. The antlion. It is the nymph phase of the lacewing. The decidedly more elegant adult feeds on pollen, nectar and the odd aphid. But in its larval stage, the antlion is a menacing carnivore. This natural-born killer is armed to the teeth, literally. Its mandibles resemble sickle blades, and it's not afraid to use them. It preys on passers-by, building a trap, one of the most efficient traps in the animal kingdom. The antlion begins construction by crawling backwards, using its abdomen as a plough, shoveling up the sand. Then throws each little pile clear of the scene. He keeps moving round and round to make the pit deeper. About 3 inches across and 2 inches deep, until the slope is as steep as it can be without collapsing. A death trap. A masterpiece of devious engineering. Hiding just under the surface, it lies in wait for innocent passers-by. Concealed beneath the sand, the larva can sense faint ground vibrations. The spider wanders close, but not close enough. A foraging ant, moving closer. It stumbles into the hole. The antlion launches. But this lucky ant finds its footing and escapes a gruesome death. The predator doesn't have to wait long. Another ant tumbles into the trap, and this one can't get out. The sandy wall is unstable by design. The larva now throws sand at the ant to knock it off balance and creates an avalanche that delivers its victim to its waiting jaws. The antlion injects the ant with venom and enzymes before starting to suck the life out of the still struggling victim. It's as if the earth has opened up and swallowed the ant whole. The antlion's trap provides a ready-made grave. The Australian desert is full of pitfalls. While some assaults come from below, it pays to keep a watchful eye on the sky. Because out here, death can also rain from above. The wedgetail eagle is an aerial assassin. Dry, desolate, hostile. Out here, resources are few and far between. Spanning thousands of square miles, the vast expanse of the Australian desert is a silent killer. But some species are well equipped to meet these extreme challenges. Australia's largest bird of prey. With a wingspan of nearly 10 feet, the wedge-tailed eagle. She's an apex predator, soaring high on the food chain. thanks to her arsenal of deadly weapons. Her hooked beak is for tearing flesh, dead or alive. But it's her wickedly sharp, switchblade-like talons that do the real damage. A fierce hunter and fiercely loyal to her family. Wedge-tailed eagles mate for life. Like Bonnie and Clyde on the wing, this pair works together to provide food for their chicks. Effortlessly soaring upon desert thermals, she scours the searing landscape for prey. Wedge-tailed eagles possess incredible eyesight. Each eye has a bony ring that can be squeezed to elongate the eyeball, acting like a zoom lens, seeing prey up to 2 miles away. Even the largest of kangaroos need to be wary of an aerial assault. Movement amongst the boulders has caught her eye. Quick and nimble, rock wallabies are difficult moving targets. They navigate the rocky outcrops with all the agility of a mountain goat. The wallabies know they're being hunted and scramble. Their best chance of survival is to find cover. For those that don't, it's open season. Her lethal talons quickly dispatch the hapless prey, tearing flesh from bone. Her curved beak makes short work of the carcass. A kill of this size is enough to feed the entire family. The pair has 2 chicks, recently hatched, and voraciously hungry. There's no rest for the adult eagles, as the kids constantly demand their pound of flesh. Creatures of the plains beware. These winged assailants have an insatiable appetite. Australian deserts harbour some of the world's most notorious killers. But there's one that stands out from the crowd. A hitman with a terrifying reputation. Its famed bite contains enough lethal toxins to commit mass murder. The Inland Taipan. Australian deserts are home to a disproportionate number of venomous reptiles, armed with chemical weapons that kill with horrifying efficiency. But of all the world's venomous snakes, the Inland Taipan is the supreme master. One drop of its venom would kill 250,000 mice in a matter of seconds, or 100 men in under an hour. But in order to feed, this 6-foot-long female must first locate a victim. Luckily, she's armed with more than venom. Tasting the air, her tongue picks up the slightest clue. Just a molecule of scent gives the prey away. There is a potential victim, and it's close. This cold-blooded killer prefers warm-blooded prey. Native rodents spend the daylight hours in the cool of their underground burrow. But just like the caves of the desert, burrows are no safe haven. The taipan's smooth, glossy scales allow for a silent approach. As she gets closer, her keen vision helps to pinpoint the source of the scent. If these agile rodents sense her presence, they will try to escape or lash out with sharp claws and teeth. A silent assassin. She uses the shadows to approach her chosen target, undetected. It's all over in the blink of an eye. Neurotoxins quickly paralyze the victim, while hemotoxins start to break down the rat from the inside. Chalking up yet another notch on her belt, this proficient killer won't need to eat again for several weeks. Which is good news for the other creatures of the desert. Forged by extremes, the predators of Australia's deserts are built tough. They cheat and steal, stalk and con, slash and maim. Deadly Australians that will do whatever it takes to survive in this arid wasteland. Australia, a tropical paradise. But these pristine waters conceal sinister undercurrents. The oceans surrounding this island continent are home to some of the deadliest creatures known to man. Marine assassins that strike from the shadows, or wield biological weapons that kill with terrifying efficiency. Curiously intriguing, exquisitely beautiful, and exceptionally lethal. These are the case files of Australia's notorious ocean killers. From otherworldly predators with a knockout punch, to flamboyant femme fatales, to the monsters of our deepest nightmares. In these waters, there is little more fearsome than the jaws of the great white shark. Perfectly adapted marine predators, sharks have prowled the oceans for more than 400 million years. Worldwide, there are around 400 species of shark, almost half of which can be found in the waters surrounding Australia. Monsters of the deep, the stuff of myth and legend. They are supreme killers. Over the last 50 years, there have been 53 fatal shark attacks in Australian waters. But usually, these so-called man-eaters prefer prey of a different flavour. Hammerhead sharks hunt stingrays. Tiger sharks attack and kill turtles and even other sharks. But there is a giant amongst their number with a taste for warm-blooded victims. It's the largest of all flesh-eating sharks. The great white, one of the most feared predators on Earth. But it is not human flesh that whets this monster's appetite. Inhabiting the colder coastline of southern Australia, fur seals make for tempting appetizers. While sea lions are the main course, the colonies here make up a significant part of the great white's diet. This alpha male sea lion watches over a group of females and their pups. On land, they appear cumbersome and clumsy. But once they enter the water, it quickly becomes apparent that they are in their element. Sea lions are fast, agile and elegant swimmers. Their streamlined bodies enable them to efficiently chase down prey species like crustaceans and cuttlefish. But the sea lions aren't the only marine predators to prowl the chilly waters of the great southern ocean. And all this activity does not go unnoticed. A nightmare of the deep approaches. Great white sharks can detect the scent of prey species from great distances. For this 15-foot long monster, the sea lion hunting ground is a smorgasbord. Busy with their own hunt, the adult sea lions are oblivious to the approaching threat. And the great white seizes the opportunity to target one of the pups. Weighing around 1 ton, it breaches the water's surface at over 30 miles an hour. Returning to the beach, the adult sea lions have one less mouth to feed. Even the most attentive of parents have little hope of defending against such an overwhelming force of nature. A veritable powerhouse, the great white shark terrorises the Australian coastline with brutish strength and fierce jaws. But Aussie killers come in all shapes and sizes. And to survive in this bloodbath, even the most delicate of Mother Nature's creatures have come to rely on lethal biological weapons. Far from the frigid waters of the Great Southern Ocean, the warm seas of Australia's tropical north appear to be a swimmer's paradise. But looks can be deceiving. Every year from November to April, blooms of jellyfish lay siege to Australia's northern coastline. While some are harmless, others are amongst the deadliest creatures known to man. The venom of the tiny Irakundji jellyfish is 100 times more potent than a cobra's, and 1,000 times deadlier than that of a tarantula. But Irakundji aren't considered to be the most dangerous marine stingers in these waters. That title belongs to the box jellyfish, one of Australia's most notorious killers. Over the last 130 years, these aquatic assassins have claimed the lives of more than 70 people. The rapid onset of box jellyfish envenomation can lead to cardiovascular collapse and death in a matter of minutes. It's a terrifyingly efficient way to subdue prey, which is typically small fish. Stinging cells contained within the 10-foot-long tentacles inject venom upon contact, bringing about a quick death. The extreme nature of the jellyfish's chemical weapon helps to protect its delicate tentacles from being damaged by a struggling victim. Although not as ferocious as the great white shark, these toxic terrors have few natural predators. Present in vast numbers, jellyfish blooms can stretch as far as the eye can see. But sometimes it's the things that we can't see that pose the greatest threat. Hiding on the sea floor is a clandestine predator with a deadly reputation: the reef stonefish. Spanning over 1,250 square miles, Australia's Great Barrier Reef is the largest living structure on the planet. But amongst this beauty, unseen terrors lie in wait. Shunning the limelight, a reef stonefish conceals itself on the sea floor. A master of disguise, it's easy to see how this predator got its name. Its mottled colours blend in with the reef setting. It will even tolerate algae growing on its skin to further aid concealment. The stonefish is an awkward swimmer, but it's patient, a required trait for an ambush predator. By burying itself in the sandy seabed, it becomes almost invisible. Even its large bulbous eyes are indistinguishable from its surroundings. This nocturnal predator preys on crustaceans, small fish, and cephalopods that stray too close. The slightest movement would betray its presence. Surprise is everything. The stonefish's strike is explosive. Its wide gape rapidly envelops unwary prey, which is swallowed whole. Its use of surprise attack makes it a formidable predator. But the stonefish is most renowned for its deadly defense. It's the most venomous fish in the world. Concealed within its dorsal fin are 13 needle-like spines. Fed by venom glands, these spines form a lethal defensive array. A toxin unique to stonefish, known as verruca toxin, attacks the nervous and circulatory systems and can prove fatal to would-be predators. In humans, stonefish envenomation can result in severe pain and life-threatening restrictions to blood flow and breathing. Hunters beware. More often than not, these silent assassins will have the last laugh. The reef stonefish has made an art form of concealment. Lurking within the shallows is another marine assailant, one that employs a more proactive strategy. It advertises its message in neon blue. Touch me and you die. Roughly the size of a baseball, the soft-bodied blue-lined octopus looks deceptively vulnerable. And with a relatively short lifespan of just 7 months, the species depends upon some rather extreme survival strategies. This sea snake is prowling for food. The octopus has a choice to make: hide or stand and fight. It opts to hide. Like most cephalopods, the blue-lined octopus is a master of disguise. Sophisticated skin tissues allow it to rapidly change not only its colours, but also the texture of its skin to better blend in with its surroundings. The sea snake continues its search for a meal. But some predators are armed with more refined senses. The hammerhead shark possesses an array of electroreceptors that can detect even the best hidden of prey on the seafloor. Confronted with the threat, the blue-lined octopus decides to change tactics. It sends a vivid message. Iridescent blue markings pulsate across its body, warning the predator that it's armed and dangerous. Its deadly bite is 10,000 times more toxic than cyanide. In humans, envenomation can cause respiratory failure, leading to cardiac arrest and eventually death in as little as a few minutes. In nature, such threat displays are generally heeded, and the hammerhead continues on its way. On a smaller scale, the blue-lined octopus is also a predator. It scours the ocean floor, searching for small fish and crustaceans. As a soft-bodied cephalopod, it's vulnerable to counterattack, and this crab's pincers could inflict grievous bodily harm, albeit in self-defense. A surprise attack presents the best chance of success. The octopus's dexterous tentacles restrain the crab's menacing claws, while its sharp beak easily penetrates the crab's exoskeleton, delivering its toxic bite. The crab quickly succumbs to a lethal combination of toxins contained within the octopus's venom. There's no doubt with this pint-sized perpetrator, blue means back off. Flashing its blues works well for the octopus. a vivid warning signal. But when danger comes close, it helps to pack a powerful punch. Amidst the strange and often brutal underworld of this subaquatic realm, one puny pugilist stands out from the crowd. The peacock mantis shrimp. Otherworldly in appearance, there's more to this odd creature than meets the eye. It's a formidable predator. Its bizarre appearance is the result of 80 million years of evolution. With an appendage for every occasion, the peacock mantis shrimp is the Swiss Army knife of the marine world. Five pairs of legs for feeding, 3 pairs of legs for walking, 2 pairs of antennae for reception, 10 gills for breathing, 2 eye stalks bearing an extraordinary pair of compound eyes, and even a set of windscreen wipers. But of its 34 appendages, it's those club-shaped limbs at the fore that make it a true killer. At just 6 inches, he punches well above his weight. His hunting strategy is one of brute force. Understandable when prey species include the well-armed and well-armoured, not to mention well-camouflaged. But camouflage is of little use when hunted by a peacock mantis shrimp. His eyes are amongst the most complex in the animal kingdom. While human eyes have just 3 colour photoreceptors, he has 12. With the capacity to see far beyond the human visible spectrum, very little escapes his attention. While the crab's defences are formidable, this seasoned brawler treats them with contempt. He's more than a little territorial and knows exactly who's moving through his patch, especially those of the tasty variety. Unaware of the mantis shrimp's presence, the crab strays close. Too close. With the velocity of a .22 caliber bullet, the mantis shrimp strike is the fastest in the animal kingdom. The assault is so fast that friction makes the surrounding water boil. The devastating punch knocks limbs off the victim and delivers a quick death. With built-in cutlery at his disposal, his home-delivered crab meat meal is ready to eat. The peacock mantis shrimp punches well above its weight. But there are far larger brawlers lurking in these waters. Prowling the coastline, one heavyweight killer devours just about anything that crosses its path. The tiger shark. The complex structures of Australia's Great Barrier Reef form the foundations of a bright and bustling metropolis. But every neighbourhood has its bully. Growing to more than 5 metres long, tiger sharks are aggressive predators. In these waters, few are safe from their insatiable appetite. Tiger sharks are responsible for a large percentage of fatal attacks upon humans. But these monsters will more often prey on marine mammals, stingrays, even other sharks. In Australia's far north, tigers have developed more refined tastes. They've become specialised hunters. Between November and April, tiger sharks gather here in large numbers, travelling from as far afield as Papua New Guinea. They're attracted by a natural phenomenon. Rain Island is the world's largest green sea turtle nesting site. But to lay their eggs, the sea turtles must make it to shore. And that's no easy feat. As they approach the beach, the sea turtles must run the shark gauntlet. Tigers prefer to launch their deadly assault from below. So the seafloor offers some protection against surprise attack. But the turtles must occasionally surface to breathe. And that puts them in mortal danger. For the sea turtles, timing is everything. This one has spotted the lurking predators and bides her time. Another chances a breath. And pays the ultimate price. Once dispatched, the tiger shark uses powerful jaws and serrated teeth to dismember its victim, shell and all. Amidst the feeding frenzy, the onlooker breaks from cover and makes a final dash for the beach. She's one of the lucky ones. Many turtles will not make landfall. Instead, falling victim to the murderous appetites of the tigers that ruthlessly prowl the neighbourhood. With such menacing monsters in the water, it helps to be able to avoid detection or have the capacity to defend oneself. One fierce fish can do both. The lionfish. The cold-blooded killers in Australia's coastal waters are armed with jaws, harpoons, and gruesome spikes. But few are as flamboyant as the lionfish. It's named for its long flowing fins that resemble a lion's mane. Beautiful, but deadly. A femme fatale. The lionfish's irregular outline helps to conceal its presence when viewed from a distance. Another piece of seaweed wafting in the current. But up close, its bright colours and bold markings serve as a vivid warning to would-be predators. Look, but don't touch. Also known as devil firefish, lionfish are armed with potent venom. Each long flowing dorsal spine is tipped with an extremely sharp point. glands within these spines produce powerful neurotoxins. In humans, lionfish envenomation can cause extreme pain, respiratory paralysis, and occasionally death. Their formidable toxins and vivid threat display have earned these fish a healthy respect amongst the reef community. They have few natural predators. Although armed and fabulous, lionfish don't use their venomous spines to hunt. They're strictly for defence. They're ambush predators, relying on camouflage to sneak up on a victim. Unaware of its presence, small reef fish make for easy targets. By rapidly sucking water through its wide gape and pumping it out the gills, the lionfish creates a vortex, dragging this hapless fish to its doom. This femme fatale literally eats its victims alive. Though only the size of a football, the lionfish sits comfortably near the top of its food chain. A marine assassin with flair. While the stealthy lionfish terrorizes inhabitants of the reef, there is another killer here that attacks the reef itself. A notorious predator that leaves death and destruction in its wake. But it too has its nemesis. Australia's Great Barrier Reef is a wonder of the natural world. Yet it's under threat. Rising sea temperatures attributed to global warming are killing off the corals that give the reef its structure. Adding to the peril is a natural-born coral killer. At around 30 inches in diameter, an individual crown of thorns starfish can devour up to 30 square feet of coral in a single year, which might not sound like much, but when present in vast numbers, the results are catastrophic. And these sea creatures produce more offspring than any other marine organism on Earth. Each female develops over 50 million eggs in a breeding season. From the age of 6 months, the diet of juvenile starfish is comprised almost entirely of coral. Its characteristic venomous spines protect it from most predators. En masse, they are a force to be reckoned with. Yet, for the reef, there is hope on the horizon. An unlikely predator. The giant triton. One of the ocean's largest sea snails. Tritons can measure over 1.5 feet from tip to tail. This giant gastropod feeds upon sea cucumbers and sea stars. the crown of thorns starfish seems to be one of its favourite foods. When hunting, the triton uses scent trails to track its prey. But it's not the only one with an acute sense of smell. The starfish senses the approaching threat and attempts to flee. The triton gives chase. It may appear that these creatures are going nowhere fast. But make no mistake, this is an active pursuit. A race to the death. With nowhere to hide, the starfish relies on its venomous spines as a last line of defence. But the starfish's defences offer little deterrent to the persistent predator. Giant tritons have developed a tolerance to the starfish's toxins. And their saliva contains a paralysing agent, which brings the pursuit to an abrupt halt. Its hard-fought meal is now ready for consumption. It uses a serrated organ known as a radula to lacerate the soft tissue between the starfish's spines, then sucks the life from its paralysed victim, leaving little behind but an empty husk. But as is the nature of a sea snail, it's in no hurry. While giant tritons patiently stalk their prey across the seafloor, other marine predators move with speed and precision. The streamlined bodies of sea snakes have evolved to be fast, agile, and deadly. Toxic serpent stalks Australia's reefs. A 6-foot-long predator with a lethal bite. The olive sea snake. Unable to move on land, the olive sea snake is extensively adapted to an aquatic lifestyle. But like all snakes, it's an air-breathing reptile. It has a giant lung that runs nearly the length of its body, allowing it to stay submerged for hours at a time. As it tracks small fish and invertebrates amongst the nooks and crannies of the reef. Specialised valves in the sea snake's nostrils prevent water from entering its lungs when diving. And while its vertically flattened tail provides propulsion when on the hunt, it also serves to protect the snake from becoming the hunted. Like eyes in the back of its head, photoreceptors on top of its tail act as an early warning system to detect passing predators, giving the serpent a head start on hiding from hungry eyes. But for the prey species of this stealthy assassin, there are few places to hide. Offering a false sense of security, the confined space of this fish's refuge is easily infiltrated. The serpent strikes with the longest fangs of all sea snakes, injecting neurotoxic venom and fast-acting peptides that lead to almost instantaneous paralysis. Potentially lethal to humans, this highly toxic venom claims the fish's life within moments. While sea snakes actively hunt down their prey, there are other nefarious characters amongst Australia's marine assassins that prefer to lure unsuspecting victims to their death. In these sinister waters, deceit and deception are commonly employed as survival strategies. The dark art of camouflage, a prime example. It's frequently used to set up a kill or avoid being killed. This is one of the craftier perpetrators, the anglerfish, capable of adapting their appearance to suit their environment. These colourful con men are masters of disguise. Instead of swimming, they use their fins to slowly prowl the sea floor in search of prey, like small fish and squid. Within its bag of tricks, this anglerfish possesses a rather unusual tool. A biological lure known as an esker protrudes from its forehead. Resembling a wriggling worm, it tempts prey from the safety of cover. A cuttlefish emerges to investigate. Amongst the most intelligent of marine invertebrates, it doesn't buy into the scam. Nearby, a painted anglerfish casts its line. But just in case the lure isn't tempting enough, it also secretes a chemical attractant into the surrounding water. Its strike is faster than the blink of a human eye. A bite-sized snack. But these remarkable predators are capable of taking much larger prey. Anglerfish can expand their mouth cavities to 12 times the original size, a trait that allows them to punch well above their weight. Also reliant on camouflage, a flounder conceals itself within the sandy seabed, unaware that a hairy anglerfish is posing as a sea anemone nearby. Attracted by the disturbance in the sand, the anglerfish moves in to investigate. This big-mouthed predator is quite capable of devouring the flounder whole. Putting faith in its camouflage, the flounder holds its nerve. Fooled by the flounder's disguise, the anglerfish moves off in search of its next victim. Anglerfish are amongst the craftiest killers on Australia's reefs. Another predator here uses more insidious drugs to subdue a victim before moving in for the kill. Activity on the reef ebbs and flows with the sunlight filtering to the seabed. As the moon rises above the black waters, one of the planet's deadliest creatures embarks on its hunt. It's not as imposing as a killer shark, nor does it instill primal fear as a snake might. But it wields one of the animal kingdom's most potent chemical weapons. Its sting is a death sentence. Having kept a low profile throughout the day, this predator emerges from its sandy hiding spot. A carnivorous cone snail. Its movements are deceptively slow, but it conceals a lightning-fast pneumatic weapon, one that delivers a fatal dose of venom. Conus geographus is the most deadly of all the cone snails. Its venom is more complex than the deadliest of snake venom and has claimed the lives of more than 30 people. There is no antivenom to treat its fatal sting. The cone snail prowls the ocean floor, creeping forward with its muscular foot. Its siphon, packed with chemosensors, probes the water. With this appendage, it can sense the chemical trails of prey from considerable distances. It's picked up a scent. A venomous weaverfish. The dorsal spines of this fish are delivery mechanisms for its own mix of defensive toxins. But the cone snail is undeterred. As the sinister assassin creeps towards its mark, the faster-moving weaverfish makes no attempt to flee. It's paralysed, not by fear, but by a mixture of chemicals that the cone snail has released into the surrounding water. Fast-acting sedatives that immobilise prey. The cone snail now casts its net. Its extendable mouth begins to engulf the weaverfish. This elastic appendage doubles the snail's length and appears impervious to the weaverfish's toxic defences. With the fish trapped, the cone snail extends its proboscis and readies a kill shot. It fires a hollow tooth filled with toxins. The harpoon floods the fish with venom, instantly attacking the nervous system and shutting down nerve impulses, quickly leading to the prey's demise. The cone snail begins its slow escape from the scene of the crime, returning to its darkened lair to ingest its meal in solitude and safety. When next holidaying on an Australian beach, you should remember one thing. The crystal clear waters of this island paradise are both beautiful and deadly. Stonefish plague the shallows. Lethal octopi haunt the rock pools. And great white sharks will see you before you see them. Plying the tools of their trade, these deadly Australians are closer than you think.